Hello and welcome to the Liverpool Way podcast. After a makeshift Red side fell 3-2 to PSV in Eindhoven in the final Champions League group game. All the goals came in the first half. The Reds largely dominated, but there was little down in the second half where Arne Slot made further wholesale changes and the Reds actually ended the game with 10 men. Despite the loss ending a 100% run in the competition this season, we held on to top spot and will face either PSG, Benfica, Monaco or Brest in the last 16. More on that complicated scenario later. I'm Chris Smith and I'm joined by Dave Usher, the editor at liverpoolway.co.uk, after a forgettable night that at least kept at least 9 of Saturday starters fresh for the big game at high-flying Bournemouth. Dave, the perfect end to the campaign we hoped for slipped by, but it was clear from the heavy rotation and playing Robbo at centre-back that this was a game we were willing to sacrifice. All that being said, top spot overall is still a great achievement.
Yeah, it is. For a long period in that game, I thought we were going to win as well. The way we started the game, even with all the changes, I'm looking at that and going, we're still better than these. I didn't think they really offered that much early on. We looked like we were much the better side. And then we've given away some like, I want to say bad goals, but it's good from their point of view. A couple of really nice finishes. But kind of felt like it sort of came out of nowhere because we were doing well. We had like quite a lot of control, I thought. But I think there's a lot of positives to come out of that tonight. But at the moment, like the results still like stings a little bit because I don't think it was warranted at all. I feel like we were really harsh. I think the lads deserved much more than they got tonight because I thought that was a really good performance, all things considered. And I'll get this out the way now and then won't talk about it again, but that referee was an absolute fucking disgrace all night. From about 5 minutes in, I'm kicking off about him. It was when he gave them a corner when the ball bounced off the back of one of their players and went out. And just because their player went to retrieve the ball and put it on the corner spot, he's like, oh, okay, yeah. Gave them a corner. I'm like, what's going on? Like, it was so ridiculous. And then it was just like the rest of the game, he was just pissing me off. Just like ridiculous decisions. He missed so many things. He was seeing stuff that wasn't there. Even the sending off, like, which we'll get to later, but I thought like Kwanzaa's back cover, and I didn't think that was a sending off.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's just like there was so much there that was pissing me off. But I've said my piece on the ref. I'm not going to say any more. Well,
can we talk about that booking for Harvey though as well? While we're on the subject, that booking for Harvey for a supposed dive was fucking bullshit as well.
Yeah, it's
fair
not,
it's
it's
to
not
not
penalty,
give a penalty for that.
Dive either.
Exactly, like he's put his leg across Harvey's body. Harvey can't really avoid it. And has he made a little bit of a meal of it? Probably, do you know what that, but it's not simulation at all.
No, you know what that is? I'll tell you exactly what that is. Sometimes, like, if you get up off the couch and someone's sat on the couch next to you and the leg's there, and as you go to start walking, you do this awkward thing, like, arms up in the air, and you move your back, and you're like, oh, you're just not wanting to make contact with the legs, and you're trying to, like, just avoid it. And because I think in a situation like that, if he immediately jumps up and he's asking for a penalty, if I'm a ref then I'm like, nah, I'm not having that. But I don't think he did that. I think it's just one of them. He's like trying to avoid the player coming in and it looks bad, but I don't think it was an actual dive as such. But let's talk about the one on Chiesa then when the lad stamps on Chiesa's foot.
Yeah.
So it's like, why are you not booking Chiesa then? If you're not giving the penalty, why are you not booking Chiesa? The only reason you're not booking him is because there's contact there, and if there's contact, well then you should be given a fucking pen. So yeah, I just thought there was so and the way he just let Jayden Danns get the shit kicked out of him all night.
Yeah, he did.
No protection whatsoever. I mean, that one like right in front of the linesman when he just got wiped out. I don't care that the lad got the ball. He went right through both of Danns' feet to get to it. We didn't even get a free kick for that. I think, what? This is just so bad. I don't know where that referee was from. I've never seen him before. I don't know what nationality he was, but I hope I never see him again. Just keep him away from our
He looked like
games.
David Coote, I thought.
Oh, wow.
He actually looked like David Coote. Not David Coote. Yeah, David Coote.
Yeah. That's his revenge then. What do you think?
This is long lost
David
brother.
David Coote's just put on like a funny accent and dyed his hair. Hey, I'm David Coote. Fuck you, Liverpool.
His name is Tobias Steiler. So you'd have to German accent it probably. He is
My
He
Italian's
actually looks a bit
better
like
than my
Phil
German,
Neville.
so. Yeah, he was terrible, absolutely terrible. He pissed me off all night. He pissed me off more so than the scoreline, and the scoreline pissed me off not because I'm angry or disappointed at any of the players or anything like that. I feel bad for them. I thought they deserved more because I was well happy with what we saw from the lads tonight. And we'll get to individual performances as we go, but yeah, just as overall, I thought we played some really nice stuff. Just vulnerable at the back, but you kind of got to expect that with the makeshift defensive lineup that we put out. You're going to have that, and like they hit 52 unbeaten at home, and I felt like we went there, and for a lot of the game we were the better side, even with all of our stars at home or sick. I had to get that in. So even with that team, I felt like we've more than a match for them. This is a team that hasn't lost at home for like 50 odd games, and but for that referee tonight, maybe that would have been different, and we would have kept the 100% record, which would have been nice to do that first time out, but still ends up finishing first anyway.
Yeah, nice, and we can thank Atalanta for that because they came back from goals down twice in the new camp. So
want to avoid them at all costs.
Absolutely,
do not want to play Atalanta.
So we've had a bit of a moan about the ref and the scoreline. As you say, there are some positives to take from that. I think, namely, in terms of the immediate needs, 90 minutes for Chiesa and a lively performance from him. It looked he looked like as if he could be durable for the first time. Yeah. For the first time.
So I think the thing that's my biggest positive from tonight, other than maybe the performance of McConnell, which we'll get to, and my boy Tyler Morton, I thought was great when he came on. But no, Chiesa, he was good. It wasn't brilliant. It was, there was enough there. He's made an impact. He's done some good things. The thing for me was, you get to like stoppage time in that game, and he is still flying about the pitch. Mm-hmm. I didn't think he had that in him. Because we've been led to believe, his fitness isn't there, and we're having to be really careful, and he's getting 15 minutes here and 15 minutes there. So you're thinking, okay, he's starting tonight. Maybe he'll play for like 65, 70, or if he's still doing okay, they might leave him on for 90, but it's going to be a struggle. No, he was flying about right at the end of that game. There was absolutely no sign of Chiesa flagging or getting tired there. And that's really, really surprised me. And it just tells me, okay, you could start him now. No problem. He can start in games. You don't have to be thinking his fitness levels aren't quite there. He hasn't got like the stamina or whatever. No, he has. I was like shocked at how fresh he still was at the end of the game, because he'd done a lot of running. It's not like he was just strolling about. He was flying about the pitch, getting involved, making things happen. I thought that was a massive positive tonight, just his fitness, the fact, and he took a few knocks as well, which
he did.
You get your heart in your mouth, isn't it? You're like, oh no, because he feels like he's one of those players who's just going to be unlucky. I don't even want to say injury prone. I don't think it's that, but some players like Jota, for example. Every time like Jota gets hurt in a tackle, you're like, oh shit, this is probably going to be bad. Curtis is another one. Players that just don't seem to have much luck, and I kind of feel like that's probably Chiesa. So a couple of times tonight, he's been on the end of heavy challenges, and you're like, oh no, is he going to get up from that? But no, he's still flying about at the end of the game. I felt like that was a massive positive.
Yeah. And I thought he took the initiative a few times as well. Some of his play is a little bit untidy, isn't it? He's not quite fully sharp yet, and he's very much at times of the Jota school of like bobbling your way through. But he wins the penalty through some industrious work after his initial run. Yeah, and then his shot that was well safe for the second. He hit that really, really well, and Harvey poked it in. So he's contributed a lot, and certainly we've always said that his biggest use is going to be to allow us to rotate Mo in and out a little bit and give him a rest in games, and in some of the FA Cup games and whatever is in store for us, maybe give him a rest entirely, and that was the case tonight. And all good stuff. I mean, the one biggest positive for me, as you said, was that kick he took for the penalty. There are worries. My worry wasn't so much that he was like unlucky, it's that maybe durability was a concern, and any kick that he gets is going to be something that could keep him out. So it was good to see him run that off a little bit when he was hobbling around for a few minutes afterwards, rather than having to come off, and then we're being back to square one with him all over again, where we're just trying to get him these minutes. So definitely that's the biggest plus for tonight.
Do you think he's being like sort of tarnished a bit because of the Aquilani experience? You think I'm not saying we're making deliberate comparisons, but you think maybe in the back of your mind you're like, oh, it's another Italian who's not going to be able to deal with like the physicality over here and all that, because of the way it's gone so far, where I mean, we're 6 months into the season and he's only now like deemed fit enough to be starting games. Do you think like the Aquilani experience is maybe in the back of people's minds, and we're maybe judging him based on that, which is obviously unfair?
Yeah, I can't say that had occurred to me. I think I've blocked Aquilani out of my memory entirely.
I wish I could.
Yeah, just didn't even really think of him. But I think maybe the Italian thing in general, like they haven't been successful in the Premier League as a general rule.
Yeah, and definitely
you got your Zolas and Viallis early on, and
Di Canio,
Di Matteo, I suppose, as well, but not so much after that. And I think there's a certain amount of understanding as well that he is coming off long layoffs, and they have been really, really extra cautious with him. So I think expectations are probably a little bit low as a result of that, but I don't think he's felt tarnished, certainly not in my mind.
Yeah.
I think there's been like a decent level of understanding about where he's at, what it's going to take him to get him going. Maybe if we were in greater need of him, like, if we were struggling for goals, or we had injuries to people like Mo, then we'd be like, fucking hell, we've paid for Chiesa here and we've brought him in and he's just not available to us. But as it's turned out, we've been able to be careful with him, and as I've said all along, it could really be something that pays dividends over the course of the season, coming into these final few months, where I always say that Ronnie Rosenthal type situation might come into play.
You know what?
He could contribute 5 goals, even if he can contribute 5 goals, say 5 league goals, or a couple in the Champions League between now and the end of the season, while in the meantime staying fit and allowing us to put higher quality lineups onto the field in some of these games that we're going to still need to get through, but aren't necessarily the number one priority, then the signing, in my view, has been a success.
So you said about expectations there, like being like quite low. And when you think about it, the bar has been set so low for him based on, it's like everyone forgets that, like, 2-3 years ago, he was like probably top 5 attacker in Europe. He was in the best 5 attacking players in Europe. He was amazing, and he was talked about as like, a £90 million forward. We saw what he'd done for Italy in the Euros, and he was a top player. And then he gets the injury, and he's done okay since he's come back. He played a lot of games last year, but we seem to just have these like low expectations, like, oh well, a lot of it's got to be the fee as well. You're thinking, well, it was peanuts really, whatever we get from him's a bonus and that. And I think that's got to be good for him, because he's not going to be weighed down with expectations. But if he gets back to what he was, I mean, fucking hell, he was so good. And players come back from ACLs and are as good as they ever were. So there's no reason why he shouldn't be able to get back to that level at some point. So, I mean, he's 27. It's not like he's come back from like a serious injury when he's like 30, 31 or something like that. So I think we have set the bar way too low for him, and it's going to be interesting to see what he can contribute. But the other thing that you said there as well about, oh, maybe if he can get like 5 goals and stuff like that, well, maybe players like him are the difference between competing on all fronts and actually being able to get over the line in some of them. Because if he plays in the cup competitions, like, maybe he plays against Spurs in the second leg, for example, probably won't. It'll probably be Mo, but, you've got the FA Cup, and I don't know. I just think, like, if you're bringing somebody like that in to play in cup competitions and he catches fire and he starts showing like similar form to when he was in his peak, I mean, that could be like a real difference maker. I just think, I'm just excited to just see what he does. Hopefully he stays fit, and let's just see what he can contribute. But he may well surprise people.
Yeah, I think he will. And another relative positive tonight, I thought James McConnell played really well. I know you were disappointed not to see Tyler Morton get the start.
Yeah.
But what did you think of how McConnell did tonight?
I thought James McConnell was the best player on the pitch. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. And me wanting Tyler Morton to start, it's like he's more senior. You know, I felt like it was unfair on him. He's been the one that's been in and around the squad on the bench and that, and then all of a sudden he sat there and James McConnell starting ahead of him. I didn't really see like what the thinking was behind that, and then I thought, is Tyler Morton going out on loan before the deadline, and they didn't want to risk him? Is that what it is? But then he comes on early in the second half, and you know he showed exactly what he can do. I mean, he stopped 2 goals there. Because that breakaway at the end, they score, except he gets a touch on that and it goes wide. And he makes that brilliant block as well, like when the lad's getting the shot away. Some really good passes. You know, just he did exactly what I would expect him to do. But James McConnell was fantastic. Just like the way he'll turn away and then it looks like, oh, he's going to get closed down, they're going to get it off him. And then he just sort of gets his toe on it and then he gets away from the next player. But he looks a little bit like ungainly, you know, his running style. I suppose like maybe a bit like Hendo, you know, like with the sort of like the arched back when he's running and that. Like he doesn't look like a natural athlete, but he got around that pitch brilliantly tonight. Really good on the ball.
Who would you compare him to?
I don't know. I'm struggling to come up with a comparison really. But I mean, let's not forget that he was brilliant last year as well. You know, when we had that spell when we needed to put kids in. When we had all the injuries, and they just kept us going. You know, the results didn't suffer. We kept getting results, like when it was Bobby Clark, McConnell, Jaden Dans, obviously Bradley, Kwanzaa, all these kids who were coming in, and just any one of them. If you've got like your first team, and you've got to bring in any one of those kids to play in that team, it's fine. You don't have to worry about them. Now, it's different when you're playing like 5 or 6 of them together. You're going to expect the team's performance to drop off a little bit because you're without all your big stars. But all of those kids who are like in and around the team, it's like if you had to put them in and play any one of them with the rest of the team, they wouldn't stand out as being, oh yeah, they're not really up to it. They could all do the job. And we saw it last year. McConnell was great last year. He got injured, so he missed pre-season, missed the start of this season. So that set him back a bit, but you know he's been back fit a couple of months now, and when the cup games come around, that's obviously great for the kids because that's when they get the run out. But yeah, he was so good tonight. I thought he was brilliant, man of the match for me, like by far.
This is obviously like a CD level concern for us at the moment, but I guess that puts him above Tyler Morton in the pecking order now.
I don't know. I think maybe that there's something going on because Tyler Morton said, like at the start of January, he may have to look at moving on this month because he's hardly played, and there's a lot of teams interested in him. Maybe they'll think,
why bring him on at all then?
Yeah, I don't know. I just found it strange that he didn't get the start. I don't really get it because you know you didn't need to start Robbo tonight. You could have played Endo in the back four and played Tyler Morton in midfield. So. It was just that bit of the team selection was odd, playing Robbo and Costas. I don't really think we needed to risk both of them.
Do you know what the Robbo thing is, though?
What
the Robbo thing is like, you know, in the very last episode of The Sopranos where like Tony asks Paulie to run the appeal crew. You want to skip this thing? Nobody else left. So kind of Robbo has to kind of be the senior guy. And,
so he gets the armband.
Yeah, he gets the armband. So I reckon that's why he played. But I've never seen him play centre half before. Can't say I'm keen to see it again, but
I think he did in another game. He played like 15, 20 minutes centre back with Costas to his left. I can't remember what game it was. It was earlier this season. We made substitutions and he ended up playing in the middle. Nice. May well have been a Champions League game, I don't know, but he'd never started there before. He was doing really well as well. They're fucking pinging those passes around. And then all of a sudden, like every time they started to attack, it was like, oh shit, they're going to just slice right through us. Not specifically because of Robbo, but, you know, just it's a totally different backline, isn't it? And it's like, you know, they're not doing that if like Virgin Canate are back there.
Right.
But, yeah, I'm saying that, you know, it's not like individually, it's not like they were individually bad. I thought Kwanzaa had a good game other than the one mistake for the second goal, was it? Or was it the third?
It was the
second. I think. Yeah. He's not dealt with the his clearance properly. But other than that, I mean, he made loads of clearances in the second half, getting his head on stuff, and so it's not about individuals not performing. It's just you're making that many changes. There's obviously gonna be some sort of like consequence to that.
It was the third goal, actually. Yeah. It was the third goal. The second was the one where we had the appeal for the foul.
Oh yeah.
On Endo.
Wasn't a
it
foul.
Was the third goal. I don't think it was a foul, but
the ref got in his way, didn't he?
Well.
That was Endo was having to play catch up because the referee obstructed him, and then because he's playing catch up, he's trying to hold off the player, and it's not a foul. But if the ref hadn't got in his way, then that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's the only reason the player gets close to him is because he has to check his run because the ref's in the way. In that situation, I'd have just run straight into the fucking ref.
Knocked him over,
Then he would have had to have blown up.
And then fucking stands over him like Scottie Pippen over Patrick Ewing after he fucking dunked on him.
I'll use the LeBron James, Jason Terry analogy because it gives me an opportunity to rip on the Boston Celtics. But anyway.
Shame Jules is none.
It is a shame Jules won't even engage with me on basketball anymore. He won't talk to me about it.
Well, your Boston hatred does make it kind of difficult for him, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's entirely my fault. But I've made a rod for my own back, and he'll just refuse to engage with me on any subject. And when it comes to me and the Heat and Boston and basketball, and I don't blame him really, to be honest.
Yeah, because it's within 20 seconds you'd be talking about mass holes.
Well, yeah. Of course, you have to. It's a prerequisite. Sorry, Jules. Well, you don't listen to this
he
anyway.
He doesn't listen anyway. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah. Fuck you, Jules. And fuck the Celtics.
Fuck the Broncos as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Red Sox.
And Wales.
And Wales, yeah.
The whole of Wales.
We're totally safe unless someone rats us out.
Well, all right. Have we got any Welsh listeners other than Jules?
Yeah, probably.
Well, he's not a listener, is he? So, right. Gosh, we got a little bit off track here.
Yeah.
So the first goal, the penalty that Cody puts in real time, I didn't think it looked like a pen. I thought Chiesa had kind of done that thing where, he runs up beyond the defender, anticipates getting kicked and throws himself to the ground. But, he did take a pretty big kick, definite pen. And Cody slots it in after you'd been slaughtering him in the first half for not remembering that he doesn't play for PSV anymore.
Yep, I stand by it. He'd done absolutely nothing up to that point. I didn't think it was a penalty initially. Even after a couple of replays, it looked like the lad got the ball, and then they showed it from a specific angle, and it's clear, Chiesa gets the ball, and then he just gets his ankle stamped on. But it took a few replays before I was sure on that, so I was waiting on VAR thinking it was going to get disallowed, but the check for that was quicker than the one on the second goal. When everyone was clearly onside, it wasn't even close, and the VAR check took about 5 minutes. Like, what was
a lot
that
of that stuff was odd tonight.
Yeah,
a lot of the VAR, the weird VAR stuff, considering they're supposed to have that semi-automated stuff, and it's not supposed to take more than half a minute. But
I actually think Champions League VAR is worse than Premier League VAR. I never know what's going on in these games, and I hate it, all of it. But I do feel like you at least have some semblance of what they're looking at and what's going on in the Premier League. I think it's explained better. Because the commentators know. I think that's the thing. The commentators have got the feed, haven't they? So they know what the ref and VAR are talking about and what they're checking for. So the commentators
in the stadium have probably got the feed. But the ones, because a lot of the Champions League stuff, I find the coverage in the States is that the lads are commentating on the game aren't in the stadium. They're just commentating from a studio. So maybe it's something to do with that.
Yeah, I don't know if McManaman was in the stadium or not tonight, but...
I didn't have McManaman. So.
McManaman was annoying me as much as the ref, if I'm honest.
What else is fucking new with him?
He was getting on my nerves. I tell you what was funny though, whoever the co-commentator was, it wasn't Fletch. I don't know who it was. He said, and we've got news of a goal at the Etihad, and McManaman went, yes. He didn't know it was fucking Bruges you'd scored. He just assumed it was City, and then he had to go, I thought it would have been for City. I'm like, you tit.
What a knobhead. Forget that he played for them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Do you remember that game he
almost
came
forget
back
that
to
he played
Anfield
for
and
us,
scored
and I
it?
fucking loved him when he played for us. I thought he was amazing, but
Yeah,
he's
he
so
was
annoying
my
now.
favourite player for a good few
Or should I
years.
say annoying? What's
does
with
that. He does
the
that.
posh talk, and it's like, what are you doing?
They
Overpronounces
overcompensate,
everything.
don't they?
Yeah.
Carragher does the same thing. Like, especially on American TV, he overcompensates for his accent and just
Carragher's
ends up sounding
accent's
like a dickhead.
so thick, he kind of feels like he probably has to, but McManaman doesn't really need to do that. He just over-eggs it completely.
Yeah. Where's he from, McMahon? Birkenhead?
Kirkdale.
Is he?
Yeah, he's
I
probably
thought
like...
he was from across the water.
No, he's probably like the poshest person to ever come from Kirkdale, because he's not got Carragher's accent, has he? You know, he's definitely like easier to understand for outsiders, but for whatever reason, he does that stupid ing at the end of everything.
Nice. And the lead doesn't last for very long. It's a pretty good goal by them, to be honest, but it's kind of route one. But the chest pass is lovely into Bakayoko's feet, and then he sells Robbo and Quanta with that really sweet dummy and plants it past Kelleher, gives him no chance. Sometimes, you can overanalyze these things and look for where we could have got closer or tighter, but that's a good goal.
It's a really good goal. Excellent finish. He sent both of them for the echo. All I'll say is, does that happen if it's Van Dijk and Konate back there? Virgil's not doing that, is he?
Yeah, right.
Not necessarily saying he doesn't still score, but Virgil doesn't go like sailing off into the sunset while he checks back the other way. That's not happening. But
you might get that situation that we had at Old Trafford in the fall-off season where Milner runs in and does that slide tackle and Verge doesn't follow up at all and stands still. And then I think it was the only goal that Jadon Sancho ended up scoring for Man United or something.
Fucking hell. Yeah, no, like I say, I'm not saying he doesn't score if it's Verge or Konate, but it doesn't look like that. That's the one thing we can say. And Kelleher's got no chance because that's a lovely finish. Just guided it right into the corner. So that's not one where I'd be saying, oh, would Alisson have saved it? No, absolutely no chance. In fact, all of the goals tonight, I don't think any of them are in any way, shape or form on Kelleher.
Yeah, I'd agree. Still sucks to concede 3 for him though, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. He'll be thinking, could they have done anything different? But I don't think he could.
And then it's their level pegging doesn't last for very long. We get back ahead. We've kind of already talked about that goal, but
Gakpo does well in that. To give him some credit after me taking a little shot at him, he did well holding that up through the middle.
Yeah. And another Champions League goal from my boy Harvey. That's 4 in 12 games in the Champions League for him. So 1 in 3 record.
That's a good finish, that, as well, because he goes across. Most people don't do that. They would have just, it probably hit the goalkeeper or it'd have gone over the goalkeeper or something, but he deliberately puts it back past into the far side where the keeper's dived out the way. I thought that was a really composed finish from him.
Yeah. And it's weird now to look at a game like this and see Harvey as one of the senior players out there. Obviously he's played well over 100 games for Liverpool now in over the course of 3 or 4 years. So it was nice for him, I thought, to get those 90 minutes tonight under his belt. I think that's probably the first time he's played 90 minutes, maybe since he came back from his injury, maybe one of the FA Cup games or something. But
I think maybe I don't know.
Yeah, and he's unlikely to see. He won't start on Saturday, but he might be the first midfielder off the bench again with Curtis still out.
Do you not think it was interesting tonight, the position he played as well? 'Cause I don't ever remember seeing him playing there before, on the left of the 3. He was always Klopp would exclusively use him on the right hand side of the midfield, cutting in. And today he was mostly on the left with Endo in the middle and then McConnell on the right of the 3. So we didn't play the usual formation where Dom's a number 10. It was 4-3-3 tonight. And Harvey on the left. I'd not really seen that before, but I thought there was some encouraging signs there. I liked it.
Yeah,
he looked comfortable.
He's not a one-footed player, is he? He's good with both feet. And so I don't see any particular reason why he has to be exclusively played on that side.
It's just the Klopp always did that. We never saw him on the left at all. But no, I thought he did quite well there tonight.
Good. And then we can see two just before the break. We've already talked about the potential foul on Endo with the ref in the way, and the third goal, which comes in added time and at the end of extra time, is the Quansah error that's capitalised, and that before they know it, they're through down the left side, and it kind of just finds a way through Kelleher, doesn't it? That one,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the striker gets a touch or not, or it just
I
squirms
couldn't
through.
see any touch. It comes off Bradley initially, doesn't it? And then Robbo and the striker go for it, and I don't think either of them get a touch. But that's always hard for the goalkeeper because you're anticipating one of them will get a touch. So you can't just commit yourself to where you think it's going. You have to sort of wait to see if one of them gets a touch, and then they don't, and then you're out of it. Then you can't get across. But it was significantly over the time, and that pissed me off. But even at the end of the game, when we get the free kick and Queeve goes up for it, and the ball goes to them, he should be blowing the whistle as soon as like that they head it out from the box because time's up. And he was fucking desperate for them to score again. He just let it go. He let them run up the whole pitch, playing like a minute over added time just to see if they scored. And like that just summed up his performance. I know I said I wasn't going to talk about the referee again, but yeah, it's hard not to. It probably won't be the last time either.
Yeah, and I'm looking at my notes here, and I've got like 3 things written down: the ovation for Cody when he went off, Harvey being booked for diving, and the red card. So, I guess it was just like a case of getting some more lads out there, getting them some experience. They didn't care about this, did they? They didn't care about losing this game.
I think the players on the pitch definitely did, but I don't think Slaughter's going to be. I haven't seen his interview or anything afterwards, but if you pick a team like that and you go into, I mean, he knows PSV better than anybody. They beat his team to the league last year, so he knows it's a tough place to go. The team that he picked was sensible. It wasn't necessarily what I thought he was going to do. We've not really seen that from him before, but he explained his reasons for it. I'm like, yeah, that's good. I'm glad you did that. That was the right thing to do. You got to prioritise like the weekend and getting people some rest while you can. So no complaints about like the leaving players at home and stuff like that. But the only thing is, I didn't think he should have started Robbo and Costas. If one of them definitely will be playing at the weekend. So whichever one you're going to be picking on Saturday, I wouldn't have played tonight. But other
Which one
than
do you
that,
think it'll be?
Spot on. I think it'll be Robbo. He got brought off. Costas played the full game, didn't he? I don't think Costas got over the halfway line tonight. He just wasn't really attacking. Not really a criticism of him, just an observation. Maybe because like their most dangerous player was obviously Bakayoko, so he's maybe not wanted to overcommit, and then so he's just not got forward as much as we're used to seeing him. And Conor Bradley, I didn't think he was good tonight. He looks like someone who just needs, like, if he plays like 2 or 3 games, you feel like by the 3rd game he'll be flying and he'll look great. But when he's coming in like 1 game every 3 or 4 weeks, it's not really happened for him. He was great against Real Madrid, got injured. Since then, it's just stop-start. He's not really getting himself going, and tonight was a chance for him to shake off the cobwebs, but yeah, he wasn't at his best at all.
We probably won't see him now until the Plymouth game, unless something happens with Trent, which we don't really need.
I mean, possibly the Spurs game. It depends on how we go in that, but I think because we're getting beat, I think you have to go close to full strength, don't you, really?
Which comes first? Is the Spurs game first?
I think so. I think the Spurs game is next week, isn't it?
Oh yeah, 6th of February next week, and then the 9th is Plymouth on the Sunday.
6th?
All right.
Well, if it's the 6th, isn't that?
It's a Thursday.
Oh yes, it's the 1st on Saturday, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's actually pretty good. We've got after Bournemouth, that FA Cup game before the derby is actually really helpful to us, isn't it? We can rest everybody there, and then we can go from Thursday to Wednesday.
What have we got? Bournemouth.
Saturday, February the 1st, Bournemouth. Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoff. Then Thursday at 8 p.m, Spurs at home. Sunday the 9th, Plymouth away at 3:00, and then
Okay,
Wednesday Everton away at 7:30, and then a gap until Sunday when we play Wolves at home.
Oh, that is really good. That works out
Yeah,
perfectly. So you can
yeah,
actually go, because you're playing Saturday, Thursday, so you don't need to worry about that. You can go like full strength in both of them. Then you've got the cup game, which is when you make all the changes, and then you've gone Thursday to Wednesday with your first team. So again, not a problem.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
that
the
works
good
out
thing
nice.
about the derby being on the Wednesday, we've got that Wolves game on the Sunday, but there's no travel involved with that for us either. So, no flights, no long train journeys or anything. Everybody gets to sleep in their own beds.
Yeah,
And
that
yeah, that's
that's as
pretty
good
good.
as you can hope for, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And then after Wolves, we have a week between. We have a week until Man City away, so
A midweek off.
that's pretty good. Yeah, full week off.
Thank fuck for that, because these 2 games a week are absolutely killing me. I actually think like it's worse for me than the players. I'm like, my workload is just it's this 2 games a week. Honestly, it's stressing me out. Like just trying to get everything done, and like this week as well, because it's fucking self-assessment week, so I had to do all my tax return and accounts and all that, as well as like pod now, match report, round up, diary. It's like fucking hell. This week's just a week from hell. So yeah, I'm not gonna know myself if you've got like a midweek off.
All right. Well, you got one coming up, something to look forward to anyway.
Yeah.
Um, so have you got anything else to add about the actual game tonight?
Um, Nothing specific about the game. I'm just thinking about players who we've maybe not mentioned. So Jaden Dans, I thought he did some nice things. I also think we saw why he's not ready to be playing all the time, just because like the hold up play, centre backs all over him. That's something he's got to develop. Which that's totally. He's come from academy football. Now you're playing against like adults who are gonna like be all over you and stuff. So a few times I felt like he found it difficult to hold it up, but at any time he had like half a yard of space, to control it, get turned, he looks really good. Like, and we know he can finish as well. So yeah, that'll do him a world of good. Like just getting that. But he didn't play the full game because they had to bring him off because he just took a battering. I think he looked like he got cramp after one of the fouls as well. He was stretching out, and then you saw like Slot was talking to his assistant, and I think the discussion wasn't, are we taking Danzy off? It was, who's going to come on for him. You knew he was coming off at that point, but no, I thought he did some really nice things. He's an exciting player, but yeah, just he's a kid, and at times you could see that.
Yeah, definitely. It's just great for him getting that run out in this competition.
Yeah,
A start
yeah,
in the Champions League for him
definitely.
is great, and it will do him no harm at all. I wish we could say that for Amara Nallo as well, who
Yeah,
was on the pitch 3 or 4 minutes before he
I think they
before he
said
got the
4
red.
minutes. Yeah,
Fucking hell. I mean, we talked about whether we thought it was a red or not. What I didn't know until now, just reading this, is it's that he'd never played first team football before,
no.
and that's rough, man.
Yeah, it was harsh. I didn't think it was a red card because Kwanzaa was back. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not great. He's got caught out, and if Kwanzaa's not in the picture, then it's clearly a red card. But yeah, I just thought thought it was harsh. But it happens. That's why I always say, like, with centre backs, he's 18, or he may not even be 18. He may be still 17. I'm not sure. He's same
I think
age
they
group
said
as
he's 18.
yeah, same age group as Naoni. But it's totally different for a midfielder or a forward. Like, 18 in centre back years, he's a fucking toddler. So I mean, it's not easy because you're in situations like that, and I don't think he's ready. I think he's promising and that, but from what I've seen of him, like in the under 21s, and that, he's not someone that jumps out at me as like, oh yeah, he can play for the first team now. I don't think he's quite at that level, but I wouldn't expect him to be at 18. I mean, look at Kwanzaa. Yeah. He's 22 today. It was his birthday today. So Kwanzaa got in when he was like 21, was when he started to make a name for himself. I think he was playing at 20, but that's 2 years older than Nallo. And he'd also had a loan spell in League One, Bristol Rovers. So he needed that to get to the point where he was ready to be a first team option. So Nallo's a long way behind that, because with centre backs, it's, you know, experience counts for a lot. So he's got all the raw tools, and they obviously think a lot of him. But yeah, that was a nightmare for him. It's the last thing you'd want.
What happened to that big lummox who played a couple of pre-season games a couple of years back?
Which one? Billy
Big,
Cometio.
big, massive dude. So yeah,
Billy the Kid, Klopp called him.
Yeah.
He just wasn't very good.
right. And is he gone now?
Yeah, he had a loan spell at Blackburn last year. Didn't really work out. He ended up playing left back for a bit, I think. And yeah, he went in the summer. I don't know where he went. I can't remember. But yeah, he's gone.
All right. And just one more thing on James
Nat
McConnell.
Phillips is still here.
Is he?
He hasn't left. He's on loan, yeah. Nat Phillips is still a Liverpool player.
One more thing from Slot on James McConnell. He said, he was asked about him after the game, and he said, if I had been surprised, that would mean he had not been at this level in training, but he has been competitive. I'm not surprised, but you always wonder how they will react on this stage at this level. James deserves credit for his performance today.
Yeah.
So it shows that he's, you know, highly thought of by Slot at least.
Yeah. Do you know what, on the midfield, like, I was thinking about Tyler Morton, and I was saying to my dad before, I said, like, he's really unlucky that the era that he's come through, because he's trying to break into the best team in the world. You know, it's like, it's not just my opinion, but like loads of rival managers are describing Liverpool as the best team in the world. So you're trying to get into that team, and you look ahead of you, and you've got Gravenberch, who's been like the best midfield player in the Premier League this season, and you've got McAllister, who's like a World Cup winner, just absolute top player. And that's even before you're looking at, like, you know, Curtis Jones now, who you've got to get ahead of. You're looking at that, and it's like, you're not going to get in ahead of them, and there's no shame in that. But the fact that you're close enough to even be around it shows what a good player he is. But it's just, and in another era, he probably would have, like, you know, not necessarily been playing it every week, but he would have been like maybe the Curtis Jones's role now. Maybe in previous years that would be Tyler Morton, but now the bar is so high because of like the quality that you've got to get past to get in the team.
Yeah.
That he's probably going to, well, almost certainly he's going to come up short, and he's going to have to move on in that. But it's a matter of timing. It's just he's come through at the wrong time,
Yeah,
and
I
it may be the
suppose
same
when
for
Gerrard came
McConnell
through-
as well. You know, it's too soon to make that judgment on him, but he's going to face the same problem that Tyler Morton's got now.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose when Gerrard came through, the midfield consisted of people like Paul Ince and Øyvind Leonardson. So,
Oh, God.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there would have been no stopping Gerrard anyway, but yeah.
But
just for
they were able to
comparison's sake.
fast track him because
Yeah.
there was a vacancy. You know, we needed someone to come in and fill it.
Yeah, good stuff. So I think we've talked about that game enough. Before we came on air, we tried to figure out this overtly complex draw situation, which we were just talking before about. The only reason we thought there were 4 teams in this equation instead of 2 was because we thought there was still a chance that it could be up in the air, because it was like finishing first or second, and Barcelona would play the winner of 2 of the teams, and we would play the winner of the other. But no, it's 4 teams that are possible for us to play.
Stupid.
And now there's another draw to determine that'll be the case. And Dave, I can only assume that they've added that kink to make sure Man City and Real Madrid don't play each other in the next round.
Well, we'll find out,
in that
won't we?
playoff.
Because I know it's not guaranteed that they would, but if they don't get drawn against each other, then it does make you think, okay, so they've just given themselves that little security blanket where they can still manipulate it to some extent, because I can't see any possible logic for doing that. And it's pissed me off, because they've won me over with this. I actually think it's worked well. You know, like this was like interesting, you know, tonight. Whereas a lot of it's already settled normally when you've got the different groups, and, you know, you've got like, sometimes you've got 3 shit teams in your group, other times you've got 2 shit teams, but you more or less know which 2 teams are going to go through. There's not really any jeopardy in the final matches. Maybe if you're lucky, there'll be like one group will be still up in the air. But this was different. This was like really interesting. Not necessarily for us because we ran away with it, but there was so many teams who there was a lot at stake for them. They could either finish in the top 8 or in the playoffs or nothing at all. So there was a lot of jeopardy involved tonight, which made it like way more interesting than it normally would. So from that point of view, you're like, yeah, you know what? I see why they've done this. This is definitely like being a positive change. Aside from having to play the 2 extra games, which we could all do without. But that aside, it's worked well. It's been interesting. Tonight was really good because you don't know who's going through, and like one goal changes everything and moves like 4 or 5 different teams up and down. And right up until the end, we're looking at like what's going on with with Barcelona, and so we ended up top because they drew. And I think Arsenal finished 3rd in the end. They moved up. So, but they didn't know where they were going to finish going into tonight. So that's all really good. But as you say, I thought that the only reason last week when they were saying you can play one of these 4 teams, I just thought, well, that's because we don't know if we're first or second yet. So if we're first, we'll play the winner of
16 and 17.
16 and 17, yeah, the middle 2. And second, we'll play
15 and 18.
Actually, will it be that? Or would the other way around?
No, it would be that. Because it's the lower...
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
It goes on the logic that one plays 16.
You'd expect the higher team to go through. Yeah. So that's why we thought, that's why we don't know who we're playing yet. Well, obviously the games have got to play out, but we thought that the reason why it's 4 and not 2 was because of that. And then you find out tonight, no, it's still 4. There's still a possibility you're playing one of these 4 teams. Well, what's the fucking point? Is this just so they can have like the stupid fucking draw that they do, which nobody enjoys watching? It's just pure cringe, and all you just want to know who you're playing. You don't all like the fucking pomp and circumstance around it, all this bullshit, and like they bring out like some fucking Champions League legend like Shevchenko or someone to do the draw. No one cares. We just want to know who we're playing. But it feels like they're just doing that for their own benefit. Or it's so they can manipulate it a little bit to possibly keep 2 of the bigger teams away from each other at this stage. It just makes no sense to me. I think like they've undone a lot of like the positive work that this new format. Like I do like a lot of this now. I think I'd rather have this than the old way. But then when they do this, it's like, no, that's overkill. What are you doing?
Yeah. Do you think there might be one of the reasons they might be doing it is to stop potential manipulation of results? Like if teams know if they concede a goal, they perhaps play this easier team. But I suppose they wouldn't know that because all the games are being played at the same time.
It was still up in the air, wasn't it? Right up until the end, a lot of those positions were not guaranteed because one goal changes it and moves different teams up and down. So I don't think it's because of that. I can't think of a positive reason for it. I don't know why they would do it other than they want to keep doing this stupid little... Probably because like they have a big jolly up, don't they, when they go to... Go to Switzerland to do the draw all the time, don't they? Isn't it? It's in Neon, isn't it, or something? It's always like there. So they obviously just don't want to give up the little jolly going there. They want to keep doing a draw, whereas if you already know that you're playing this team, there's no need for that draw. Plus the fact we already know for the next round that we're guaranteed the second leg at home as well.
Yeah. I think that it should be the case that if you win the whole thing, you should be guaranteed second leg at home right through to the final. But apparently that's not the case.
No, it's not.
Like it should be like the NBA, or the NFL. Like if you're in the number 1 seed, the route to the final has to go through on that side of the draw. The route to the final has to go through Anfield. Like that should be a perk that they could have added to make winning this league
would as well.
On the other side of the draw, then
I totally agree. It should be that. And I thought it was. And when I found out it wasn't, I'm like, well, no, that's shit. You're only guaranteed like the home leg for the last 16. No, it should be right the way through. As you say, that's the only thing for finishing first or second.
The only thing we know for sure at the moment is that we play one of those 4 teams with the second leg at Anfield, and we cannot play Barcelona until the final now.
Yeah.
Because we'll be aligned on completely opposite sides of the draw. Because of the way they've scheduled this draw with the bracket, every other permutation apart from us playing Barcelona before the final is on the table as far as I can see.
So does it not get split into like 2 halves then, based on like seeding? I don't think it does. I'm just asking, does it? Or is it like
I don't think
wide
so,
open
because
and we could get anyone?
so I'm looking at it now, and let me just go from the top, right? Monaco or Brest will play either PSV or Benfica, okay? The winner of whoever comes out of that will go on and play Liverpool or Barcelona, okay? So that much is all up in the air at the moment. It's like we will know more, obviously, when that draw is made. That will simplify things somewhat. But there is a bracket system that goes all the way through to the final from here. It's just we need to wait until that draw is made to know how that bracket is going to be arranged, because every team in that playoff can end up in either side of that draw, right? And we can end up in the top or the bottom of that draw as well, depending on how that goes. It's really overly convoluted.
Unnecessary as well.
Yeah.
Like they have got like the makings of like a really good idea here, and then they've just unnecessarily added all these wrinkles that don't need to be there.
Yeah, and we're the wrong people to talk about this, really. I wanted JB to come on with us tonight to really sort of underline, but I think he's quite confused as well. And I've been asking him questions, and he's fucked off now. So
we've got no chance.
Yeah. Definitely. But we can put this to bed for a little while now. When is the last 16 game?
Is it March?
So look. Yeah.
It's usually like once the spring starts to come round, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's have a look here. All right, so last 16 games are the 4th and 5th of March and the 11th and 12th of March. Okay. So 5 weeks now until we have to worry about this again. We can focus solely on the domestic affairs, which is nice. One less thing.
Which brings us to Saturday.
Beg your pardon?
It brings us to Saturday.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, you guys talked quite a lot in depth about Saturday, last Saturday, and there's not a lot to add to that really, because at least 9 players who are likely to start on Saturday got the night off tonight. There was one thing I wanted to ask you though. Do you think
someone?
Yes, providing he's healthy again at the weekend. Darwin will probably be involved as well. But what I did want to ask you was, do you think those players who stayed at home today, because leaving them all at home was quite a surprise to all of us, like the idea is that they'll be working on stuff for Saturday while the first teamers are away, or were all the coaches with the first team tonight, so that's not possible?
No, so he got asked about that, and he said they all got today off. They're back in tomorrow, and I'm sure he said that one of his coaches is getting sent back early to do like training with them tomorrow. Well, I think they all fly back, but they fly straight back after the game, I think. But he said one of the coaches is being designated with working with the players when they come back in tomorrow. So obviously the players who are involved tonight are not training tomorrow, but the others are. So he's got like a coaching session already planned and that for them.
Mm-hmm. And I guess the good thing about tonight as well is I think you can probably tell from our approach to the night that Monday and Tuesday weren't spent agonizing over this game, right? Like this was just send 11 players out there, send on a few more and see what fucking happens, right? Like I don't think any thought whatsoever has gone into how we're going to approach this game. So hopefully Monday and Tuesday were spent preparing for Bournemouth as well.
Yeah, well, I don't think Tuesday was, because they show the sessions, don't they, on YouTube the day before the Champions League match. Training's like a big part of it is shown, and all of the kids were involved in the session, so it wouldn't have been training specifically based on Bournemouth. I think it will have been like a big session with like loads of players who wouldn't necessarily normally be involved.
But the video sessions, and the analytics and.
Which is getting more like the NFL now with all that stuff, isn't it? Which is a good thing. I actually got no issue with that at all. I think, like, you know, players have got enough off time, if you like, that why shouldn't they be watching like a video of what the next opponent's likely to do and what we should be doing? So, and it's all individual videos that are done as well. Like, you know, they have specific ones for each player. Like, there's someone who's one of the coaches. I don't know if it's Heiting it, actually. I think he's involved in that a lot. Like, specific showing clips to players of like things that they're doing well, things they're not doing well. This is what you need to work on. All of that stuff. It's all individually tailored to the players, and you know, they seem to be embracing that. Like, a few of them have talked about it and that. And I think it's just getting more like the NFL, but that's not a bad thing.
No, you just don't want to leave any stone unturned.
Yeah,
do you?
exactly.
Just,
yeah.
If you can, if there is an edge to be had, then and obviously, like so many players these days buck the stereotype of like not being very intelligent. They're all like highly tactically aware, intelligent lads. So you know,
need to be now, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Or you end up playing for Man United. Utterly fucking clueless.
Well, yeah, definitely. Are you expecting us to go to Bournemouth and win?
Yeah,
on Saturday?
I am. And the reason I say that is it's easy for everyone to look at that and go, oh no, what a really tough game. Look what they've just done, you know. And they're in great form, don't get me wrong. I'm a big admirer of how they play. I think they've got loads of really good players. I'm taking nothing away from them at all. And yeah, this is a tough game, but it's a tougher game for them. You know, it's easy to forget that. Like, I think, you know, they'll be looking at that going, oh, we're playing Liverpool, this is going to be really tough. So I'm not saying we're going to go there and roll them over or anything. You know, it's going to be a tough game, but why shouldn't we think that we'll win just because they're in good form? I mean, how many points behind? They're a long way back. You know, this is not like we're going to second place, a team that's neck and neck with us. So we shouldn't be looking at it and going, oh, I'm fearing the worst here. No, we should go there and expect to win. And if we don't, then we don't.
13 points, having played a game more.
So there you go.
And, you know, and then in the last 6 games, they've drawn 3 and won 3. So it's not like when we played Forest and they'd won like 6 in a row or whatever it was.
I think this is it's a totally different game to Forest. I think it's tougher in some ways, but not necessarily overall a tougher test because Forest are just really hard to play against. It didn't look like that in the second half, which is testament to how well we played in that, because teams don't usually create much against Forest, but we did. And then obviously Bournemouth have battered them. But the thing is, like with Forest, what I've said, like, it's not sustainable what they're doing, and like a part of the reason why it's not sustainable is because if you concede first, you're fucked. You know, their whole like strategy is based around not giving the first goal away. Because if they get in front, they're a nightmare, because they just carry on doing what they're doing, and it's really difficult. But if you get ahead of Forest and Forest have to come out and try to chase the game, they're not set up to do that. So that's what's happened. Bournemouth have gone ahead against them. Forest have then had to like come out a bit more than they probably would have liked. They also didn't have Hudson-Odoi playing, which is another thing. They haven't got depth, which is another reason why Forest aren't going to last the pace. But Bournemouth have just taken them to the cleaners. But like Bournemouth have got 10 players out injured at the moment, and they're still just able to do stuff like that. So
is that still the case going into the weekend?
Yeah, most of them are still out, I think. Yeah.
All right. Because I'm just looking at their home form now as well, and I'm going back to December here in the Premier League. A 1-0 win against Spurs at home. Well, everybody beats them. Then they drew with West Ham at home. Then they drew 0-0 with Palace at home on Boxing Day. Then they beat Everton 1-0 at home on January the 4th. And then the next one was the 5-0 against Forest at the weekend. So
they had to draw.
It's still
Chelsea
an outlier,
as well, didn't they? They drew.
But that was at Chelsea. That was the way.
Oh, you're looking at the home form. Sorry, right?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the home form because that's more pertinent heading into this weekend. You know, so it's not like they're like pulling up a huge amount of trees over the last 2 months or so. You know, with their home games.
You mentioned one of those results there, and it's just reminded me of something I heard the other day that was like a staggering stat. The team that's who do you think has got like the best away record in terms of goals conceded this season? I thought it would be us, because we've done really well away from home. You know, our away record's great. I thought we've probably conceded the least goals away from home. It's Palace.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they just had a clean sheet there. You said 0-0 away at Bournemouth, yeah. Palace away from home just don't seem to let goals in. It's weird.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, you look at that, and there's no reason to be like scared of going there. You know, they're a good side. They've got loads of good players. Really well run club. There's a lot to like about Bournemouth. I mean, who owns Bournemouth?
No idea.
Do you know? I'll tell you, Darwin Núñez owns them. He does.
Yeah.
Always scores against them. But no, I don't even know who Bournemouth owners are. But they're a really well-run club, aren't they? You know, they just seem to... Because the ground holds about 15,000. Like, they're punching so far above the weight. There's a lot to admire about them, including a lot of the players. But it's a game that we should not be thinking, oh, no, I'm dreading this. And you read some of our fans online, and they're like that. Like, no, fucking grow a pair of balls.
Grow some balls.
Should be looking forward to the game, and that's not to say it's definitely going to go well. It might not. Bournemouth are definitely capable of beating us if we're not at it. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good game.
Yeah, me too. And I think, you know, if you look at it just on paper, a trip away to the 7th place team in the league that are 13 points behind us, having played a game more, it shouldn't hold any fear either, should it really? But I think the reason that some of our fans are doomsaying about it is because we're just waiting for it to... A lot of us are just waiting for the penny to drop, aren't we? Like a lot of us are like, this has got to... Yeah, this has got to come undone at some point. Things are going too well. Any hint that we're coming up against something that might not be very comfortable for us or might pose a threat is bringing out more sort of doom-mongering than perhaps it should do.
Yeah, I just don't see it that way specifically about this weekend, because if you look at the away games that we've got coming up, there's plenty of them where it could go wrong. You know, because there's a lot of teams who are capable. But they've all got, like, not all of them, but like most teams have got some really good players who can hurt you. We've got to go away to Fulham. Like, that's a game that we probably will win. We probably should. Well, we definitely should win. We probably will win. But if you play Fulham, like, say 10 times, how many of those are Fulham going to win? Maybe 2.
Yeah,
it's like, you know, Fulham away. You don't know what you're going to get from them. But if they're on form and you go there and you're not quite, you know, at your best, you can lose to Fulham easily. We could lose to Bournemouth. So all of these games are potentially risky, but it's the same. Arsenal have got to play all these teams as well. I know they've played some already, but look at Arsenal's games, and there's loads of games where you go, yeah, they could come unstuck there. Yeah, that's a potential banana skin. So it's the same for them as well. And
we're starting with this weekend.
Yeah, the big thing is we're not up against fucking Man City getting 100 points. That's not who we're up against now. So yeah, we're going to drop some points because there's not many easy games. But it's the same for Arsenal. And I'm only mentioning Arsenal because there's nobody else who's really in the equation.
If you also look at the fact that we play at Saturday at 3 p.m. and Arsenal versus Manchester City isn't until the following day, a win for us heaps a ton of pressure going into what is a conventionally fraught game for Arsenal, in which they hardly ever win. Like, I think they've won it. I think they beat City about once in the last 10 years or something ludicrous like that.
Are they at home or away?
They're at home.
They did beat them last season, didn't they? The Michael Oliver game with the Kovacic. The fucking scandalous Michael Oliver performance. Actually, I want to say something, because I hammered Michael Oliver on the last pod about that red card because I hadn't seen all of the replay angles. I'm still not saying it's a clear red card, but I can absolutely see why he gave the decision he gave, and the reaction to it has been fucking mental. Micah Richards calling it the worst decision in Premier League history. I mean, fucking hell. It's not even the worst decision this month. It's like, it's a debatable red card is what it is. You can make a case, and lots of people are starting to make a case now, when you look at the angle where, you know, he does catch him with his studs. It does go down to the ankle, and if you're looking at that from the angle Michael Oliver's looking at it, I can see why he looked at that and thought, that's a red card. Now, it's been overturned because they've done that much fucking crying about it, but I want to take back what I said, not about Michael Oliver, because I still think he's dodgy as fuck, but on that particular decision last week, I've changed my mind, because after seeing like the replay from that specific angle, it's like, yeah, you know, I can see why he's given a red.
Right.
I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
My thoughts aren't applicable, really, because I think it should have been a red card on the basis that it was 2 yellow card offences in one fell swoop.
Morally,
One
you're right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
1 for breaking up the promising attack, 2 for the dangerous lunge, which might not have entirely met the threshold for a red card, but it was orange.
Yeah,
I'd
I agree.
say.
I would say it's orange. That's the best way to describe it. But yeah, morally, when you factor in it was snide to stop an attack, and then it's also borderline dangerous. Yeah, I don't. It's not like this scandalous decision that Michael Oliver should be getting hammered for. He's made much, much, much worse decisions than that. And if this is the one that's getting everyone's attention, then what are we fucking doing here? You know, like the McAllister one last year, he didn't get anywhere near that amount of shit. The Kovacic thing was fucking scandalous. He also gave a penalty in the Manchester derby last year, which was outrageous. Penalty against Højlund for supposedly tugging back Rodri when it's the thing that you see in every single game every week. And he decides he's given a penalty for that one. Like, there's so many dodgy things that Michael Oliver's done. This is not even in like the top 10. And to have Micah Richards calling it the worst decision in Premier League history, this fucking buffoon is paid by virtually every single TV company on the planet. Yeah. And that's the fucking take that he's coming out with. It's like, everyone's like employing him to give his views on footy, and he comes out with that. That alone should be enough reason for everyone to go, yeah, we've seen enough, Micah. Sorry, lads. No, that's it. Because it's so bad, and he's not getting pulled up on it at all. And that's the thing. It's like you come out with these like hyperbolic statements like that, absolute nonsense, and it just whips everyone up. So like you've got all the Arsenal fans who don't need any encouragement to go off the deep end. Don't. And so now that PGMOL are fighting back by saying, oh, look at the death threats that Michael Oliver's been getting. I mean, the death threats, in fairness, like, if they happened, were 3 weeks ago. It was after he gave a penalty for us against United. That's what someone threatened to blow up his car or something like that. But it gets, the way it's reported, it looks like Arsenal fans are giving him death threats because of that. And this is like a long-standing thing where like referees give decisions that fans don't like, and then knobheads are making death threats. Now, the whole death threat thing is just the biggest load of shite ever. Because if you're going to kill someone, you don't fucking send them a message on Instagram and say, I'm coming to kill you. That's not how it works. So anyone who sends a death threat, you immediately just dismiss it as like it's just some fucking tit who's not going to do anything. But
I don't think you immediately dismiss death threats, Dave.
If I'm a referee, I absolutely am. It's part.
No, you're not.
It's part of the job. It is. No one's going to do nothing. No one's going to do nothing to him. It's ridiculous. But at the same time,
it only takes the first one, doesn't it?
But he
We've
shouldn't
seen
have
it with
to.
Politicians.
Well, yeah.
You know.
Okay, so if it happens, then I'd start taking it seriously. But he should not have to deal with it, though. That's the point.
They shouldn't, but
it doesn't mean it's serious, but they shouldn't have to deal with it.
You don't act like they shouldn't be taken seriously, because they should.
Yeah, I wouldn't take it seriously, but at the same time, nobody should be doing shit like that. It's fucking ridiculous. And I do think, like, if you find out who they are, they should be prosecuted for it. Absolutely.
But
it doesn't matter that they're actually going to do anything, like, because they're not, but they should still be prosecuted anyway. Because it needs to stop all of this bullshit, people acting like fucking dickheads online.
Well, good luck with that. It'd be funny if Howard Webb put Michael Oliver in charge of Arsenal City on Sunday, wouldn't it?
No, Michael Oliver's refereeing like two dog shit teams at the bottom, and Arsenal fans were using that as like evidence of this conspiracy, when the simple fact is you can't referee the same team 2 weeks running. So Michael Oliver's got like Southampton against Ipswich or something like that, I think it is. And Arsenal fans are like, well, if he's the best referee, and why is he not getting the biggest game of the weekend? Why is he refereeing like two teams at the bottom? And it's like, yeah, because he's not allowed to referee you 2 weeks in a row.
All right, fair enough.
Do you know who our referee is this week?
It's Darren England, isn't it? Nice. Sucks that we have to look at these things, doesn't it?
It does.
Never mind. We'll be all right, I think. Yeah, I think we'll win.
Like I said last week, I'll take Anthony Taylor every game from now to the end of the season over some of these. You know, Oliver's got the derby.
Okay.
Arsenal fans are convinced that like he's going to give us everything against Everton, and I'm like, oh, no.
You spend far too much fucking time paying attention to what they say, Dave.
You know why that is? Because I'm still on Twitter and you're not.
Too much time Yeah, well, I don't, I got exposed to a bunch of them over the weekend because very innocently, our mate Sashin, who writes for The Guardian, retweeted what I'd innocently said about I wouldn't be surprised if
Reposted
City
because
went on
you're
to
not
finish
on Twitter.
second. No. Reposted, yeah,
Yeah,
true.
blue sky.
Some people call it skeeted, don't they?
Really?
Reskeeted.
I've not heard
Um, yeah. That was just an innocent prediction. Like the gap between them is currently 6 points. They play each other this weekend. City have been picking up a few wins lately. I thought they played. I thought they played well against Chelsea. To be honest, they dominated that game. It wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if they picked up a bit of steam with those new signings in the second half of the season and ended up being closest to us. Like I don't think that was an outrageous prediction, but I
It's
ended up
not.
getting dogs from a
Yeah.
bunch of Arsenal fans just because it was. They immediately deemed it as a huge slight to them that someone would even dare to predict that City could overhaul them, when some of us were dismissing that they could overhaul us. Like, oh my God, it was awful.
Yeah, and
So I'm glad I'm off Twitter. It's even worse there.
oh, it's miles worse. But it's not that I'm engaging with them. I'm not speaking to Arsenal fans or anything like that. It's purely any time, like when, if your timeline's not refreshed much and you'd go, oh, I'm just going to click on the For You just to see what's on that. Because sometimes there's like a lot of good stuff from like Reds on there. But because I've looked at like a few Arsenal tweets and I've clicked on a few videos from like AFTV and stuff, the algorithms now are just blitzing me with like the most fucking mental of like the Arsenal fan base and the shit that's coming up on there. It's like, oh my God, look at this one. No, really? Is he serious? And then you click on the profile to see who they are, if it's just like, a bot or some randomer. There was one the other day that was nuts and I clicked on it to see who it was, and it was a guy with 30,000 followers who does an Arsenal podcast. And I was like, fuck off, no way, this is actually a real tweet. Some of the stuff, it just gets increasingly like more wild week by week, and this week has just been spectacular. After like the sending off, and yeah, but other fans are getting onto it now. Like I've seen loads of Wolves fans like ridiculing them.
It's always Wolves fans.
Yeah,
It's always Wolves fans sticking their oar in where it's not wanted.
the big boys are talking. Just stay out of it. But no, the funniest is like there's this. I don't know. Rory talks football or something. He's like this dickhead Arsenal fan, and this Newcastle fan had like picked up on something that he'd said. He actually said that Michael Oliver sent off Lewis Skelly to do Newcastle a favour. He's a Newcastle fan, obviously, Michael Oliver. So he's suspended for like the second leg of their cup game. And this Newcastle fan's like, yeah, we need him to send off like a kid who's played like 9 games for a second leg against the team who we've already just pumped at their place. But that's what he was saying, like he sent him off to help out Newcastle. It's like, well, at least send off Gabriel or something if you're going to do that.
Yeah, right.
But this is the depths that they're going to now. They've just lost their fucking damn minds.
I still think that you have a slightly skewed perception of them just because the Twitter online aspect of it.
No,
Like
I
that
always
skews
say
everything,
I
because
feel
I think
sorry
people
for
could
that
make
proper
more or less the
Arsenal
same
fans.
arguments about stuff that we say. Not you and me specifically, but
No, I
what
know. I know
online
what you're
Reds
saying.
say.
I know what you're saying, and I would, if you want to tell me that we're like the second worst fan base on Twitter, I'm not going to argue. I see enough shit from our fans that just makes me cringe. But Arsenal are just like next level. But I always say, I've said this on the forum loads of times. I qualify it by saying I feel bad for like the normal Arsenal fans that they're having to deal with this shit as well, because like they must have their head in their hands just seeing some of the crap that's getting posted, because they know it's like it's coming back on them, because it's like no one makes a distinction between these Arsenal fans and those Arsenal fans. It's just, Arsenal fans are like knobheads. But they're not. There's loads of them who are just like totally sane, rational people who are seeing this shit as well. And they must just be like, please just fucking stop it. You're making us all look like knobheads.
Yeah, pretty much. Well,
I've always said, haven't I? You've got Arsenal fans and you've got Gooners.
You have.
That's the difference. Arsenal
Gooners
fans,
have got
no
to
problem.
go.
Gooners, no.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else you want to add about the game we've got coming up at the weekends, or any other little topics you want to cover before we call it a night?
I think the team,
What about the team
probably
first? The
probably
team
picks itself, really. I think we know who's going to play, don't we? So obviously Alisson, Trent, Kanate, Verge. I'm going to say Robbo, Gravenberch, McAllister, Dom, Mo, Diaz, Gakpo. It's probably what it's going to be, isn't it?
Would you prefer to have Darwin in there starting, seeing as he's got a good record against Bournemouth?
Diaz has not pulled up any trees lately. I would absolutely play Darwin, because every time he plays against Bournemouth, he does something spectacular. Mm-hmm. If you look through like his best goals, most of them against Bournemouth, it's like let's take a Diet Coke version of like Suarez and Norwich. I'm not going to say it's like the full version, but there's similarities there. Bournemouth fans must just be like, oh, fucking hell, him again. So yeah, I would start.
Was that one where he was? I know he got the League Cup goal, which was cutting from the left side and absolutely blammed it into the top corner. Incredible finish. But was that one where he was through on goal and he did that ludicrous little chip over the goalie?
Brentford.
Was that Brentford?
Yeah, that was
Getting
Brentford.
my B teams mixed up.
Brentford
again.
will probably have like similar thoughts about him as well, especially after the other week. But no, he scored against them this year when he cut in at the left foot curler around field.
Oh, yeah.
He had the one in the wind in the cup last year when like he cut in from the touchline and just blammed it in the top corner. He had a very similar one in the league game, and I think he scored another in that game. I think him and Jota got 2 each, and we scored 4. I'm not 100% on that, but yeah, he's done really well against them. So, and strikers have teams like that. There's certain teams who they're like, oh, I fancy playing against these because you've done well against them. Like Les Ferdinand used to score against Everton every single time he played them. He was like the fucking worst nightmare. It was like me with Geest Bananas. Anytime I played against Geest Bananas, I was banging in like 3 or 4. He must have just hated the sight of me. But yeah, that's how it goes. And I just think I'd play him. But equally, if I'm being honest, you've also got the option of him coming off the bench, and we've seen what he did against Brentford, and it's nice to have that up your sleeve, especially because just based on like things that Slot said makes me think that's the role that he sees him best in, is coming on for the last half an hour. So I think he'll probably go back to that, and if we need, if we're chasing it and we need a goal, then he's coming on, and maybe he can do what he does in stoppage time again.
Well, if you've got coming off the bench the player who scored the most, I think I'm getting this right, the most away from home stoppage time winners in league history, Premier League history, then that's not bad either, is it? It's like a fucking awesome.
No,
let's get him in.
I'm not going to complain if he's not starting, because I think it's more important whether you finish than whether you start.
Yeah. All right, good stuff. Righto. I mean, it's another Saturday 3:00 kickoff, which is nice. It means you guys will be able to get to the pod pretty soonish, and maybe get that up Saturday night. So look out for that. Not the result we wanted tonight, but all things considered, it doesn't really matter. We had the opportunity to rest nearly everybody, get some important minutes under the belt for some fringe players and some young players, and still finish top of the group. We wait now for the draw. I think that's this Friday, to see who will be playing, which of 2 teams will be playing in the last 16, and then we'll have maybe a better idea about how this is going to progress moving forward. Dave and the boys will be back after the game at Bournemouth on Saturday. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you soon.